Do you need the truth about what's really going on? Do you need the truth that 2024 has been officially recognized as the hottest year since the beginning of observations of temperatures on Earth? Is there any need for the truth that experts and doctors of sciences in various fields claim that numerous recent record-breaking weather events are alarming? And we should think about the failure of climate models to effectively predict and get us prepared for unprecedented climatic impacts on human lives? My question in the previous video, as to whether you want us, Alatra volunteers, to continue voicing the truth about the climate processes on Earth that have been gaining might and power in recent years and will inevitably keep progressing, received a significant response from people. There are various opinions in the comments under that video and in personal messages. Many people write that the truth is important, no matter how bitter it sounds. Others keep writing nonsense about conspiracy theories related to HAARP, especially in light of the recent fires in California. The same group of people includes those who definitely hurry to blame the government for everything, allegedly. All this is a global conspiracy to reduce the population and for someone to get richer on human lives by any means. After all, in this way, there is a convenient mindset to justify the events that are happening. If humans cause them, hence they will stop them. However, it's not us who will stop them, but an indefinite someone, the government, global tycoons, or the agencies responsible for the safety of the population in affected countries. There are also people who understand what the facts indicate and accept analytical arguments, but do nothing because they either don't know what to do or don't really think about it. Many people prefer to bury their heads in the sand. Every time they hear about yet another extreme weather event, whether it's a hurricane breaking records with its intensity, a flood caused by record rainfall, or tornadoes that become more frequent in regions where they used to be rare, or abnormally warm winter temperatures breaking record after record, they experience fear. Therefore, they quickly scroll through the newsfeed and turn their attention to something else so as not to experience fear. It's easier for them to behave as if nothing is happening or as if we cannot do anything about what's going on. And all that remains is to let things take their course. Convincing yourself that life will remain the same as before is a psychological, understandable reaction. But unfortunately, it is very dangerous. Your complacency today means that hundreds of thousands of innocent lives will be lost tomorrow, including the lives of your own family and children, and the chances of changing anything will decrease. But amid the entire stream of comments and messages, what particularly struck me was messages from concerned women. Yes, there were sensible and conscious messages from men too, for whom family and children are not empty words, who understand what is happening, and the truth about the climate and the search for solutions are important to them. However, as a man, I understand their reticence and restraint in this matter. But the messages that came from women struck me to the core. Several mothers from various countries expressed their concern about the future of their children almost simultaneously. They thanked for the truth being voiced, but bitterly wrote about their fears and worries which accompany them every day after hearing information about the escalating disasters, the possible breakthrough of the Siberian plume, and the consequences associated with these processes. These mothers do not care about the climate conspiracy theories, geopolitical squabbles, or redistribution of territories. They only care about one thing: their own lives, the lives of their children, and their loved ones, and their future. And most amazingly, they worry about the lives of not just their children, but of every child on this planet. Can we, men, boast of such equality? When they look at the world, they don't see political gains or economic losses. They see fires engulfing cities where people lose everything they have built over decades of hard work. They see floods that claim hundreds of innocent lives, including elderly people and newborn babies. They see hurricanes and storms that sweep away entire cities and leave hundreds of thousands of people destitute. They don't see climate refugees and migrants. They see people, entire families left without homes or any living conditions, forced to wander from place to place in the hope that they will find at least a piece of bread and some corner where they can put their children to sleep. We certainly must pay women tribute. In this case, their inner navigator works even more accurately and reliably than what we men are so accustomed to rely on. Because their inner pillar is not only rationality of mind and logic, but also feelings. They feel what is happening on Earth is not just news that they can scroll through and move on. It's a real threat to their families, their children, and their future. Thus, they cannot remain indifferent because indifference is betrayal. Betrayal of those who trust them, mothers, more than anyone else in the world. Children are women's primary and only concern. Those women are separated by huge distances on the geopolitical map of the world. But the question they all wake up and fall asleep with is, what will happen to our children? Can we guarantee them a secure future? How can we protect them? How do we look in their eyes when they talk about their dreams and plans for the future? Those women are afraid that their children are growing up in a world where disasters and threats to life become a norm, while hope for a secure future is a luxury. They are concerned not only about how to protect their children from hurricanes, floods, and droughts, but also about how to preserve life on our planet. I was so amazed by those letters that I couldn't fall asleep all night. Those letters are full of pain and hope. Yet, mothers don't ask who is to blame. They ask, what can I do? They express their understanding of the urgent need to take action and solve the climate problem. They are motivated with a desire to act and fight for a future where their children can grow up, dream, and live without fear. However, they see that today, we as humankind are unprepared for the threats posed by climate disasters, and society isn't aware enough of the emergency response methods in such situations. Safety systems cannot cope with the burden of present-day wildfires, floods,
and hurricanes. Help doesn't arrive in time.
and many people die waiting for someone to come and save them. Yet, it makes no sense to blame anyone for that because public awareness of the climate situation on the planet is our shared responsibility. Meanwhile, many people simply don't want to hear about the threats that we face today and will subsequently face more and more often. Why is this happening? Because such is the world. We cannot do anything about this world, but as humans, we can ensure a continued existence of this world. We can have 250 million years ahead of us if we are smart enough to take advantage of our opportunities and avoid destroying ourselves. To cut a long story short, those women are ready to move mountains and do everything in their power so that society can solve the climate problem and preserve life on the planet. This is really worthy of respect. I would like to express my gratitude for those messages. Thank you for your bravery and determination. Yet, at a time when many mothers across the entire world are concerned about the future of their children and the very survival of humankind, in such a climatic situation, when at any moment the magma hotbed under Siberia can burst and destroy all life on the planet, instead of solving this problem, Russian law enforcement agencies are doing everything to shut the mouths for those who are looking for a solution, using the most inhumane Nazi methods of manipulation. The insane genius of Dworkin, hiding behind the Russian Orthodox Church, controls and incites the Russian FSB against innocent people and arranges brutal persecution, harassment, and torture of the Alatra volunteers. Tell me, can this situation be called normal? Instead of listening to those who do not just provide forecasts, which are based on long-term analysis of climate observation data, and which come true with mathematical accuracy, but also offer realistic methods for solving the problem, Dvorkin's agents arranged the year 1937 for the Russians and endangered the entire humanity. The climate events of recent years have repeatedly shown that the only people who really understand what is happening to the climate are Alatra researchers and volunteers who, despite the fact that they've always been law-abiding citizens of their countries, are exposed to severe persecution. We warned that wildfires, winds, and hurricanes would increase. Moreover, in the coming years, and not in the distant future as many climate models indicated, we published a part of the report with climate forecasts 10 years ago. If we were heard back then and not manipulated by a man with a confirmed mental health disorder who, using the methods of Nazi apologists, promoted a narrative that Alatra was supposedly a cult, then the climatic tragedies that already occurred and keep occurring today could have been prevented. After all, Alatra volunteers didn't just collect data from across the world and analyze the available scientific graphs and historical facts about the climate. Thanks to a closed group of Alatra researchers, the fastest warming area on Earth, Siberia, was also monitored. It was actually the data on the magmatic hotbed beneath Siberia in the classified part of the climate report that provoked such indignation in Dvorkin, who is hiding behind the ROC's interest. As a result, harassment and the discrediting in mass media were initiated, followed by physical harassment, fabrication of criminal cases against Alatra participants, and declaring the organization undesirable in Russia, which limited access to observations of the magmatic plume. Our forecasts scared Mr. Dvorkin way too much, because if there is an understanding of objective reality, his plans to attain totalitarian power and control will fail due to the climate disasters. Apparently, by declaring our organization undesirable in Russia and getting rid of the Alatra, Dvorkin hoped to declare the Siberian plume undesirable too, and to get rid of it in order to continue building his empire of authority. However, nobody can cancel or ban climate disasters. Therefore, all he has achieved is huge economic damage to Russia from the shutdown of experimental equipment that had a real tangible effect on reducing the growing number and severity of climate disasters in that region. It is precisely because of his decisions that not only Alatra volunteers suffered and continue to suffer, but also the citizens of Russia, along with billions of people across the globe whom he has put at mortal risk. Although we offered a clear and proven solution to this threat to humanity, we now have neither data nor ability to monitor changes in the underground depths of Siberia. But tell me, is there anyone else currently dealing with this problem besides us? I've seen comments where people wrote that if something was indeed wrong with Siberia, Russian scientists would have certainly announced that. So tell me, where are those scientists? Have they reported and explained to you what's going on and what to expect next? Although objective data indicate rapid heating in that region, and don't hundreds of people write that this winter is abnormally warm for Siberian cities accustomed to severe frost at this time of year? Read their comments and ask yourself a question. Do scientists in Russia actually have the right to tell the truth, even if it is so obvious? Does anyone have the right to open their mouths in that country at all, except Dvorkin and his team? We provided a clear solution on planned degassing of the Siberian plume. But do you think that they will do that in Russia when they imprison lots of people, initiate fabricated criminal cases against innocent citizens, and expel anyone who tries to voice even a bit of the truth? Where are those people? If they haven't fled yet, they are in jail for telling the truth. That's indeed a return of the year 1937 of communist massacres, but multiplied by the bullying and torture of the times of Nazi Germany formation. Do you doubt this is really so?
Go ahead and ask Russians.
All they have the right to do so far is to praise the government, promote the titular religion, and shout patriotic slogans until their last breath. But the question is, what does the world have to do with that? Why should all of humanity suffer because of one country where a Nazi man with his ambitions of the Führer, Dvorkin, got to power? It is their country. So let them build communism or anything they wish there. If they enjoy being slaves, let them build it. But why do all of us have to suffer because of one idiot? Yes, he may be the most ingenious, but he's an idiot. And will he have time to attain the power he so stubbornly strives for? Yes, he has ensured that there is no Alatra in Russia now, and at the same time, there are those who can really influence the climate processes in that region and significantly reduce economic losses from climate disasters, not just in Russia, but throughout the world. However, Dvorkin himself is far from young. If he still has 10 years ahead, will he live them, given the threat of the Siberian plume eruption at any moment? Will the man who is ready to destroy the world for the sake of power take the trouble of realizing something? Will anything change? And what could be the alternative? In Russia, there is an opportunity to carry out planned degassing and do something to protect not only that region, but the whole world from the consequences of the magmatic plume rupture. Where else is there such a place on the globe? Nowhere. Currently, it is our biggest threat. Now, a lot of researchers worldwide are busy looking for some alternative solution to overcome the climate crisis. Where are those working solutions? No matter how many times I said this in my previous videos, and no matter how many times other Alatra volunteers told people to offer their own options and that we are open to suggestions, no one has offered anything yet. Sorry, we are in despair. And so far, we haven't found any alternative solution to the planned degassing of the Siberian plume. This solution was being formed for many years before we voiced it in the classified part of the climate report 10 years ago. It was preceded by the long-term work of many people. And now those who are really trying to do something about the climate threat and voice objective facts so as to mitigate it are being harassed. The situation may be compared to a doctor coming to a patient and saying that the latter has a terminal diagnosis and needs to undergo a surgery. Yes, there is a risk, but it is minimal, just like with any surgery. However, the patient doesn't listen to the end and attacks the doctor. That's exactly what we experience because we have faced morons who attack the doctor who voices a diagnosis and possible treatment for that illness. The patient decides to join Führer Dworkin in reviving Nazism. Instead of listening to doctors and taking action,
It's easier to incite the FSB and chase those who have not only voiced the diagnosis, but even offered high-quality treatment.
being a member of expert committees, Mr. Dworkin puts his agents everywhere. They have established secret orders and initiations. They persecute people under pretext which they themselves invented. They have taken control of the Russian authorities, set up a state within a state, and spread their tentacles across the whole world. In Europe, America, and everywhere, agents of Führer Dworkin spread Nazism, stigmatizing people as cultists and sectarians, and hiding behind freedom of speech. By his guidance, it is decided who's an extremist and who is not. Innocent people are being bullied and tortured. So now we can frankly say that the only most terrifying cult in the world is the cult of Dworkin, a mindless cult of Nazism and fascism that ruins the destinies of hundreds of thousands of people. Do you know what the saddest thing is? The climate doesn't care about Nazism, communism, anti-cultism, or any other ism. It's not interested in which ideology will rule the world. Climate disasters continue to rapidly gain momentum and strength, while Dworkin is busy establishing the power of his totalitarian sect. Magma keeps rising closer to his feet. We can see the consequences of that throughout the world with our own eyes. Where there was drought, people are now drowning in floods. Winds are gaining such strength that they ruin houses and ignite wildfires that cannot be extinguished. Devastating earthquakes take people by surprise and destroy everything that was so dear to them. Volcanoes, hurricanes, and typhoons, the power and frequency of which are breaking all records. Everything that we warned about 10 years ago is already happening today. It has all gone beyond statistics or scientific predictions. It's a reality that is affecting each of us. Yet, you keep asking, why are we saying this? Why do Alatra volunteers continue to fill the media space with information about the climate and knock on all the remaining doors that haven't been destroyed by natural disasters yet? More and more often, we encounter comments like, "We're fed up with you. How long are you going to talk about it and intimidate us with the apocalypse?" Whatever social network we enter, you're everywhere with your damned climate and Siberian plume. We're not intimidating or encouraging you to resist the climate. We're just people. Who are we to resist such a force? But if you asked about our motivation, we would have answered that our motivation is our children and our lives. We are the same people as you, and we simply want to live. We don't want our families to suffer, and we don't want to lose our loved ones in a climate disaster. We want to see our grandchildren grow up and be happy. However, we are tied hand and foot because of a network of agents under Dworkin's leadership. We understand that the information we voice is in the interest of the people of Russia, as well as of any citizen in the world. But it's not in the interest of Dworkin's global totalitarian sect named anti-cultism. Only the cult of Dworkin in Russia hinders awareness of the full scale of the problem and endangers not only Russia, but the whole world. All that remains for us is to do everything we can for you to have truthful information and a chance to prepare for possible climate disasters that may hit you. Knowing how to react properly in such situations can help you save not only yourselves, but your near and dear people too. And if you pass this information to your neighbors, there is a chance that they will be able to help you in time when you need it at a critical moment. You call us alarmists, but going back to the analogy of the doctor, we're only voicing the facts, diagnosis, and method of treatment. And trust me, it's not easy for us either. Our reality is that when we wake up every morning, the first thing we do is not go to drink coffee or view unread messages. But first of all, we look through the apps that track earthquakes and natural disasters in the world. Our reality is that we fall asleep wondering if there will be a tomorrow. Even now, when this video is being filmed, this app's notifications are not turned off on my phone. While I'm telling you all of this, a background thought is spinning in my head. How many earthquakes of magnitude 5 or higher have occurred during this time? Have there been any hurricanes? We've actually switched from a stage where we were afraid of the number of powerful earthquakes a day to a stage where we're afraid when few of them occur, because this may be a signal that energy is accumulating in the Earth's interior, and sooner or later, an earthquake of a much higher magnitude may take place. The only question is, where will it occur? You may ask, why do I need to know this if my region is not considered seismically vulnerable? Because there are no seismically safe regions anymore. Earthquakes can happen anywhere, even in my region where my children and grandchildren live. That's the key motivation which drives us, Allatra volunteers, as well as those women from various parts of the globe who have sent their concerned messages, and all people who are not indifferent to the current climate situation on Earth. Yes, all of us are very different, but we have a common value that is more important than any differences. It's the future of our children and your children. So, now, go ahead and ponder. Is your life and the lives of your children worth voicing the truth?